All right, so this is the alternate assessment for photosynthesis. So starting off, photosynthesis is going to take place within the chloroplast of the plant cell. You can see within the chloroplast is the thylakoids, which are illustrated as these little stacks here, and the stroma, which is the watery substance surrounding that. The light reactions are going to take place in the thylakoids, and then the Calvin cycle will take place in the stroma. So, quick overview. The light reactions, that's going to take light energy and basically transform it into chemical energy. So you can kind of see like the reactants and products there that, so ADP, NADP plus, and water. That'll be transformed into ATP, NADPH, and O2. Then the Calvin cycle is going to use that chemical energy that was created over here to combine CO2 from the air with organic molecules and form new molecules like G3P. And we'll get into more detail on that here in a sec. So this is just a little illustration of the light reaction. So light energy as photons from the sun will hit that photosystem 2, kind of starting off there. And then the chlorophyll in photosystem 2, the electrons will get excited and pass to an electron carrier. And then you can see water splits into oxygen gas and proton. And the byproducts, the O2 will get released in the air, and then that proton will get released into the thylakoid lumen here. And then, yeah, it will release electrons when the water splits, which will replace that one. So then the electron is then transported to this cytochrome complex. And the energy from that electron is used to move protons into the lumen of the thylakoid. From there, an electron-carrying protein, shown here, will pass that electron to photosystem 1. Once again, photons from the sun will hit the chlorophyll in photosystem 1 and re-excite that electron, which will then be passed to this third electron carrier. It'll interact with an enzyme and ADVP plus to form NADPH, and NADPH stores some of the light energy, and that'll come back when we get to the Calvin cycle. So some of the energy, so here's the membrane here. Some of the energy released by the transfer of electrons establishes a proton gradient across the thylakoid membrane, which is just that, these lines here. And then the protons that accumulated in the lumen will diffuse into the stroma through this enzyme, ATP synthase. And that just uses potential energy of the proton gradient to combine ADP plus and the inorganic phosphate to form ATP, which is the other big output of the light cycle. So see the outcome here, ATP and NADPH now have stored energy that can be used in the next part, which is the Calvin cycle. So just a small illustration here, the Calvin cycle is going to take place in 3 phases, which are fixation, reduction, and then regeneration. So you can see phase 1 here, the fixation phase, combines 3 CO2s from the air with 3 RUBP, and the product of that is going to be 6 3-PGA. Phase 2, the 6 3-PGA is going to use 6 ATP and 6 NADPH. And where do we get those? They came from the light reactions that we just talked about. Remember, those were the outputs of that to form 6 G3P. One molecule of G3P exits the cycle and can be used to make other organic molecules, and that's really the output of the Calvin cycle here. So phase 3, which is regeneration, is going to use the remaining 5 G3P and 3 ATP, which once again were created in the light reaction to produce 3 RUBP. And then this allows the cycle to start once again. So we're combining that 3 RUBP, which was regenerated in this third phase, and the CO2 from the air to start that cycle over again. And then the G3P, that's the net product of this, and it can be used to produce other organic molecules such as sucrose and starch. So that's really the thing that's going to allow the plant to store energy and grow and do all the things that it needs to do. All right, thank you.